The sky over New York was blue and clear that morning. Birds were singing. Cars were moving on the streets. Nobody knew that today was the day everything would change. At exactly 9:14 a.m., the sun went dark. Not because of clouds, not because of an eclipse. Something huge was blocking it. People stopped walking. They looked up. Their mouths opened in shock. A massive shadow covered half the sky. It was not a cloud. It was not a plane. It was a ship. A ship so large that it made buildings look like toys. The shadow stretched from one end of the city to the other. Then more shadows appeared, one by one, 10, 50, 100. Giant ships, dark and silent, filled the sky like a wall of metal. They did not move fast. They did not need to. Their size alone was a message. We are here, and you are small. Phones began to ring across the world. News channels switched to emergency broadcasts. Governments activated their alert systems. But nobody had answers. Nobody knew what was happening. All they could do was watch the sky and wait. In Washington, D.C., inside a secret bunker deep under the White House, alarms were screaming. Generals rushed into the command room. Screens showed the same terrifying image from every country on Earth. Giant ships blocking the sun. Radar shows thousands of them, said one officer, his voice shaking. Not hundreds, thousands. Where did they come from? The president asked. How did we not see this coming? Nobody answered, because nobody knew. At 10 a.m., a signal was received. It came from every radio, every television, every phone, every computer screen on the planet at the exact same time. Nobody could block it. Nobody could turn it off. A voice, cold, calm, and inhuman, spoke in every language known to man all at once. People of Earth, we are the Kryvax Dominion. We have watched your world for many years. We have studied your wars, your greed, your hatred for each other. You are a broken species, a dangerous species. But we are not here to destroy you, yet. The voice paused. The silence felt heavier than the words themselves. You will surrender your planet to the Kryvax Dominion. All weapons will be handed over. All governments will dissolve. Humanity will become a servant race under our rule. You have 24 hours to comply. If you refuse, we will erase every city on this planet. This is not a threat, this is a promise. The signal ended. The world went silent. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. It was as if the entire planet was holding its breath. Then the panic began. In Tokyo, people ran through the streets looking for shelter that did not exist. In London, shops closed within minutes. In Mumbai, families gathered together, holding each other tightly. In small towns and big cities, in every corner of the world, people were afraid. Truly afraid. This was not a movie. This was not a drill. This was real. News anchors tried to stay calm, but their hands shook as they read the emergency reports. Religious leaders opened their doors for prayer. Parents pulled their children close. Some people cried. Some people prayed. Some people simply stared at the sky, waiting for the end. But not everyone reacted the same way. In a quiet military base in Colorado, deep inside a mountain, a woman named Captain Sarah Cole sat calmly in front of a monitor. She was 34 years old, with short black hair and sharp brown eyes. She had served in the military for 12 years. She had seen war. She had seen loss. But right now she was not afraid. She was smiling. A young soldier named Private Daniels burst into the room, his face pale white. Captain, did you see the message? They want us to surrender. They're going to destroy the whole planet. Sarah did not even turn her head. She kept looking at her screen, where lines of data were moving quickly. I saw it, she said calmly. And? Aren't you scared? Daniels asked, his voice cracking. Sarah finally turned to look at him. There was something strange in her eyes. Not fear, not panic, something closer to amusement. Private, sit down for a second, she said. Daniels sat, confused. Let me ask you something, Sarah said. Do you know how many times humanity has almost destroyed itself? Wars, plagues, famines, nuclear close calls. We've stood at the edge more times than you can count, and every single time, we survived. We adapted. We got stronger. But this is different, Daniel said. These are aliens. They have technology we can't even imagine. Sarah smiled wider. You're right. Their technology is far beyond ours. But you know what they don't understand? What? They don't understand us. Far away, in an underground facility hidden beneath the deserts of Nevada, something else was happening. This was not a normal military base. Very few people in the world even knew it existed. It was called Project Ember. Inside, hundreds of scientists and engineers worked day and night. Bright lights lit up long hallways filled with strange machines. In the center of the facility stood a massive metal structure, covered in wires and glowing blue lights. It looked like something from the future. A man named Dr. Elias Grant walked quickly through the halls, his lab coat flapping behind him. He was in his 60s with gray hair and tired eyes, but his steps were full of energy. Today was the day they had been preparing for. Dr. Grant, a young scientist called out, running toward him. Did you see the alien message? They want total surrender. I saw it, Grant said, still walking. Sir, shouldn't we be panicking right now? Grant stopped and turned to the young man. His eyes were calm, steady, almost cold. Son, we've been preparing for a moment like this for over 30 years, he said. Ever since the first strange signals were picked up from deep space. Ever since we realized we were not alone in this universe, we knew this day would come, and we have been getting ready. Ready? Ready with what? We don't even have ships that can leave our solar system. Grant smiled slightly. Not yet, you don't. But something else is almost complete. Something that will change everything. He turned and walked toward a large door guarded by 2 armed soldiers. Above the door, a sign read, Project Ember, Level 5 clearance only. Back in Washington, the president sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by his top advisors, generals, and scientists. Everyone looked exhausted. Everyone looked afraid. We have less than 24 hours, said General Marcus Reyes, a tall man with a stern face. Our missile defense systems are useless against ships that size. Our nuclear arsenal, even combined with every other nation on Earth, would barely scratch their fleet. Then what options do we have? The president asked. Silence filled the room. Finally, a woman spoke. Her name was Dr. Amara Singh, the president's top science advisor. She was calm, but her words were heavy. Sir, there is one thing we haven't told the public. One project that has been running in complete secrecy for decades. Project Ember. The president frowned. I've heard whispers of this. What is it? Dr. Singh took a deep breath. It began after the first deep space signals were detected back in the 1990s. Scientists realized that one day, humanity might face exactly this kind of threat. So multiple nations, secretly working together, began developing something. A defense system unlike anything the world has ever seen. Why wasn't I told about this sooner? The president demanded. Because it was designed to remain hidden until it was absolutely necessary, Dr. Singh replied. Sir, I believe that time is now. Meanwhile, all across social media, something strange was happening. Instead of only fear, something else began to spread. Videos, messages, memes, people joking about the aliens, people saying things like, Bro, they really think we're just gonna give up? LOL. Aliens threaten Earth, humanity's response, laughing emoji. We survived 2020, we can survive this too. News reporters were shocked. Instead of complete panic, a strange wave of dark humor and defiance was spreading among ordinary people. Memes comparing the aliens to annoying salesmen, jokes about humanity's unbeatable stubbornness. Some people even started making bets on how fast humans would find a way to fight back. Psychologists on television tried to explain it. This may be a coping mechanism, one expert said. When faced with something too big and too scary to understand, humans often use humor to protect their minds, but others believe something different, something deeper. That humanity, even in the face of an unstoppable alien fleet, still refused to feel small. Back on the alien flagship, high above Earth's atmosphere, a very different mood filled the air. Inside a massive control room made of dark metal and glowing lights, the alien commander known as High Overseer Threx stood before a giant screen. His skin was pale gray, his eyes large and black, and his body tall and thin, wrapped in armor made of strange alloys. He was one of the most respected commanders in the Kryvax Dominion, having conquered over 40 planets across the galaxy. Beside him stood his advisor, a smaller alien named Vex, who was studying data streaming across another screen. "Overseer," Vex said, "we are receiving strange transmissions from the surface. Show me," Threx ordered. The screen displayed thousands of human social media posts translated instantly into the Kryvax language. Threx read through them silently, his eyes narrowed. "What is this?" he asked. "They are laughing, mocking our warning?" "It appears so, Overseer," Vex said, clearly confused. "Every species we have conquered before reacted with immediate fear and surrender, complete obedience. But these humans, they are behaving very strangely." Threx's expression darkened. In his centuries of conquest, no species had ever responded this way. Fear was supposed to come first, surrender was supposed to follow. But instead, humans were joking, laughing, mocking the greatest fleet in the galaxy. "Increase surveillance on the surface," Threx ordered. "I want to understand why they are not afraid." "Yes, Overseer." Threx turned back to the massive window, looking down at the blue planet below. Small, fragile, insignificant by all accounts. And yet, something about their reaction bothered him deeply. Back on Earth in Project Ember's underground facility, Dr. Grant led a small group of officials, including General Reyes and Dr. Singh, through a long hallway. At the end stood a massive door, thicker than any bank vault. "This is where it all comes together," Grant said, placing his hand on a scanner. The door slowly opened with a deep mechanical hum. Inside was an enormous chamber. In the center stood a colossal machine, sleek, silver, covered in glowing blue circuits that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was unlike anything the visitors had ever seen. "What is this?" General Reyes asked, staring in awe. "This," Grant said proudly, "is humanity's answer to a threat like this. We call it the Ember Core, a power source and defense network built using technology recovered from a crashed object nearly 40 years ago, an object that did not belong to Earth." Dr. Singh's eyes widened. "You're saying we've had alien technology this entire time?" "A very small piece of it," Grant said. "But it was enough. Enough to study, enough to reverse engineer, enough to build something that could finally give humanity a fighting chance." General Reyes stepped closer, staring at the glowing machine. "Is it ready?" Grant smiled. "Almost. We need a little more time. But if the aliens attack before it's complete, we may be forced to use it early." Back at the White House, the 24-hour deadline was ticking down. Only 6 hours remained. Around the world, people gathered in city squares, in homes, in churches, temples, and mosques. Some prayed, some cried. But many, surprisingly, stood tall. In New York's Times Square, thousands of people gathered, staring up at the alien ships blocking the sky. Instead of chaos, something unexpected happened. People began chanting, "We will not kneel! We will not kneel!" It started as a small group, but soon the entire crowd joined in. The chant echoed through the streets, rising louder and louder, filling the air with defiance instead of fear. News cameras captured the moment and broadcast it worldwide. Similar scenes began appearing in other cities too: Paris, Cairo, Beijing, Rio de Janeiro. People standing together, refusing to be afraid. High above, inside the alien flagship, Overseer Threx watched the broadcast with growing frustration. "They should be begging for their lives," he muttered. "Instead, they are singing in the streets." "Overseer," Vex said carefully, "perhaps we are misunderstanding this species." Threx turned sharply. "Explain." Every species we've conquered valued survival above all else. They surrendered because they feared death. But these humans, they seem to value something else more. And what is that? Threx demanded. Vex hesitated. Perhaps pride, or unity, or the belief that even against impossible odds they still have a chance. Threx's expression turned cold. Then we will teach them the truth. There is no chance against the Kryvax dominion. Back on Earth, the final hour of the deadline arrived. The entire world watched, holding its breath. Sarah Cole stood outside the Colorado military base, looking up at the massive ships blocking the sky. Beside her stood Private Daniels, his hands trembling. "Captain, what happens now?" he asked quietly. Sarah didn't answer right away. She simply looked up at the alien fleet, her eyes calm and steady. "Now," she said finally, "we find out if they truly understand who they're dealing with." At that exact moment, the alien signal returned. The same cold voice spoke once more, filling every screen and speaker across the planet. "Humanity, your time has ended. You have chosen mockery over surrender. You have chosen defiance over survival. This was your final chance." A pause. Then the voice continued, colder than before. "Prepare for judgment." Across the world, people froze. The chanting stopped. The laughter faded. For a brief moment, true fear returned. But then, something strange happened. In Times Square, someone laughed. Just one laugh at first, then another, then another. Soon the entire crowd was laughing again, louder than before. Not out of joy, not out of foolishness, but out of pure, unshakable defiance. Because deep down, every single human standing there believed one simple truth. Humanity had survived worse. And humanity would survive this too. High above, watching this strange, impossible reaction unfold, Overseer Threx felt something he had not felt in centuries of conquest. Confusion. And for the very first time, doubt. "Bring the fleet closer," he ordered darkly. "It's time to show them exactly what happens, to those who dare to laugh at the Kryvax dominion." The massive ships began to move. The ultimatum was over. The war was about to begin. The alien ships began to move closer. Slowly, silently, like giant predators walking toward wounded prey. But down on Earth in the underground bunker in Colorado, Captain Sarah Cole was not watching the ships. She was watching Private Daniels, whose face was still white with fear. "Captain," Daniels said, his voice shaking, "how can you be so calm? They're bringing the fleet closer. This could be the end." Sarah sat down beside him. She looked at the young soldier for a long moment before speaking. "Daniels, how old are you?" 22, ma'am." "Then you don't remember much history yet," Sarah said. "Let me tell you something. Humanity has faced the end many times before, and every single time we found a way through. Let me show you why I'm not afraid." She pulled up a screen showing old records, files, and images, and as she began to speak, her words carried the weight of centuries. Long ago, in the coldest days of history, humans were weak. They had no guns, no cities, no writing. Just small groups of people walking across dangerous lands, facing giant beasts, freezing winters, and endless hunger. Compared to many other creatures on Earth, humans were slow, weak, easy to kill. But humans had one thing other animals did not have. They had the ability to learn, to adapt, to work together. When a human tribe faced a lion too strong to fight alone, they did not run away forever. They came back with spears. When the winter became too cold to survive, they learned to make fire. When one tool broke, they built a better one. Slowly, over thousands of years, this small, weak creature began to rise. Not because it was the strongest, not because it was the fastest, but because it never stopped adapting. Sarah paused the screen on an old photograph, a black and white image from a war-torn battlefield. "Do you know about the 2 world wars, Daniels?" "A little," he admitted. "We studied it in school." Millions of people died, Sarah said quietly. Cities were destroyed. Entire countries were left in ruins. It seemed like the end of civilization itself. But humanity did not surrender. They rebuilt. They created new laws, new alliances, new technology. Out of the worst destruction in human history, we built the modern world. She switched the image. Now it showed old newspapers with headlines about a deadly disease spreading across the globe. "And this?" she asked. "The Spanish flu. It killed more people than the war that came before it. There were no vaccines, no modern medicine. Entire families disappeared overnight. Yet humanity survived. We learned. We built better hospitals, better medicine, better systems to protect ourselves." Daniel stared at the screen, his fear slowly turning into something else. Curiosity. "Every time the world tried to destroy us," Sarah continued, "we found a way to become stronger. Not because we had superpowers, not because we had luck, but because humans never stopped trying, even when things look hopeless." Far away, deep inside Project Ember's underground facility, Dr. Grant was having a similar conversation with a young engineer named Mia Chen, who had just joined the project a few months earlier. "Dr. Grant," Mia said nervously, watching the glowing Ember core pulse with blue light, "do you really think this machine can stop an alien invasion?" Grant smiled gently. "Let me ask you something, Mia. Do you know how the internet was created?" During the Cold War, right? As a military project?" "Exactly," Grant said. "It began as a small defense network, born out of fear during one of the most dangerous times in human history. Out of fear of nuclear war, humanity created something that changed the entire world. Communication, knowledge sharing, innovation, all from a moment when people thought the world might end." He walked toward a large window overlooking the underground facility, filled with hundreds of scientists working tirelessly. "Humans are strange creatures, Mia," Grant continued. "We are at our best when we are pushed to our limits. History has proven this again and again. Every disaster, every war, every crisis, it forces us to create something new, something better." Back in Colorado, Sarah continued explaining to Daniels, switching the screen to display old footage of rockets launching into space. "After the Second World War," she said, "humanity was terrified of destroying itself with the very same weapons we had built. Nuclear bombs. Some scientists believed humanity might not survive another century." "So what happened?" Daniels asked. "Instead of giving up," Sarah said, "we looked upward. We built rockets. We went to space. In less than 30 years after our deadliest war, humans walked on the moon. We turned our fear of destruction into a drive for exploration." She switched the screen again, showing images of scientists working in laboratories, doctors developing vaccines, engineers building new machines. "Every single time the world told us we couldn't survive," Sarah said, "we found a way to prove it wrong. This isn't blind hope, Daniels. This is history. This is proof." Meanwhile, high above Earth, inside the alien flagship, Overseer Threx watched more human records that his scientists had gathered from Earth's databases. He had ordered his team to study human history in detail, hoping to understand this strange species that refused to feel fear. His advisor, Vex, stood beside him, studying the same data with growing unease. "Overseer," Vex said, "the data is unsettling." "Explain," Threx demanded. "According to their records, this species has faced extinction-level events multiple times throughout their history. Diseases that killed millions, wars that destroyed entire civilizations, natural disasters capable of wiping out cities in seconds. And yet what? Each time their population recovered, their technology advanced, their society grew stronger. It is as if adversity fuels them rather than destroys them." Threx frowned deeply. In his many conquests across the galaxy, he had seen countless species collapse the moment they faced true danger. Some species surrendered simply from fear of losing a single city. But humans had lost entire civilizations, and still they rebuilt. "This cannot be a coincidence," Threx muttered. "There is more, Overseer," Vex added. Their history shows repeated examples of rapid technological advancement during times of extreme conflict. Their two largest wars led to breakthroughs in aviation, medicine, computing, and weaponry, advancements that would have normally taken over a century, achieved within a few short years. Threx's eyes narrowed. You are saying that by attacking them, we may be accelerating their evolution? Vex hesitated before answering. It is a possibility, Overseer. Back on Earth, in Washington, D.C., President Anderson sat in a private meeting with Dr. Singh, discussing the same troubling pattern. Dr. Singh, the president said, rubbing his tired eyes, you've studied human history extensively. Do you believe we truly have a chance against a fleet this powerful? Dr. Singh took a moment before answering. Mr. President, I believe humanity's greatest weapon has never been our technology. It has always been our ability to adapt faster than any threat we face. History has shown us this time and time again. Can you give me an example? Of course, Singh said. During the Cold War, humanity stood on the edge of nuclear annihilation for decades. Two superpowers, each holding enough weapons to destroy the entire planet multiple times over. The world lived under constant threat for nearly 50 years. And yet no nuclear war ever happened, the president said. Exactly, Singh replied, because humans, even during the most dangerous moments in history, found ways to negotiate, to communicate, to avoid total destruction. We built systems specifically designed to prevent our own extinction. This is not luck, sir. This is human nature. We do not simply accept defeat. We fight to find another way. Back in Colorado, Sarah continued her explanation to Private Daniels, whose fear had slowly transformed into quiet determination. There's one more thing you should understand, Daniels, Sarah said. It's not just about our history of survival. It's about what makes humans different from any other species we know of. What's that? Daniels asked. Diversity, Sarah said simply. Humans are not one single type of person. We come from different countries, different cultures, different backgrounds, different ways of thinking. When we face a problem, we don't have just one type of solution. We have millions of different perspectives working together. She pulled up a new set of images. Scientists from different countries working together on international space missions, doctors from around the world collaborating on vaccine research, engineers from various backgrounds building complex technology together. When the aliens look at us, Sarah continued, they probably see one weak, disorganized species. But what they don't understand is that our differences are not weaknesses. They are strengths. Every culture, every background, brings a different way of solving problems, and when we combine all of that knowledge together, we become unstoppable, Daniels finished quietly. Sarah smiled. Exactly. Deep in Project Ember's facility, Dr. Grant gathered his top scientists and engineers for an emergency briefing. The room was filled with people from different countries, American engineers, Japanese physicists, German scientists, Indian mathematicians, all working together toward a single goal. Everyone, Grant said, addressing the room. I know these past few hours have been terrifying for all of us, but I want you to understand something important. This project, Project Ember, was never built by one country alone. It was built by the combined knowledge of brilliant minds from every corner of this planet. He looked around the room at the tired but determined faces staring back at him. For decades, we worked in secrecy, believing that one day humanity might face a threat greater than anything we had ever encountered. And now that day has come. But we are not facing it alone. We are facing it together, with the combined strength of human knowledge, human innovation, and human determination. A young scientist raised her hand. Dr. Grant, do you really believe the Ember Corps can make a difference against a fleet this massive? Grant nodded firmly. I believe that no matter how advanced their technology is, they have never faced an enemy like humanity before. An enemy that doesn't simply defend itself, but constantly evolves, adapts, and improves, even in the darkest moments. High above Earth, Overseer Threx called for an emergency council meeting with his top commanders. Dozens of alien officers gathered around a massive holographic table, displaying detailed information about humanity's history and behavior patterns. "I want everyone in this room to understand the situation clearly," Threx said, his voice commanding attention. "This species behaves unlike any other we have conquered before. Their reaction to our ultimatum was not fear, it was defiance." One commander, a large alien named Kroth, scoffed. "Overseer, this is a primitive species with primitive weapons. Their defiance means nothing against our fleet." "Does it not?" Threx said sharply. "According to historical records, similar defiance has led this species to survive countless extinction-level events throughout their history. Wars, diseases, natural disasters. Each time, their combined strength as a species has led not to their destruction, but to their advancement." Vex stepped forward, adding to Threx's words. "There is something else, Overseer. Our scans have detected unusual energy readings coming from beneath the surface of the North American continent. Readings that do not match any known human technology in our databases." The room fell silent. "Explain," Threx demanded. "We believe," Vex said carefully, "that humanity may already possess technology beyond what we initially assessed. Possibly technology, not entirely of human origin." Threx's expression darkened. "You believe they have already encountered another advanced species?" "It is a strong possibility, Overseer." The room erupted into quiet, urgent conversation among the alien commanders. Threx raised a hand for silence. "Then we cannot underestimate them," he said firmly. "Increase our defensive scans. Prepare full battle formations. If this species truly possesses hidden technology, we must be ready for anything." Back on Earth, as the sun began to set over Colorado, Sarah Cole and Private Daniels stood outside the base, staring up at the massive alien ships still hovering silently above. "Captain," Daniels said, "thank you for explaining all of this. I understand now why you're not afraid." Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's not that I'm not afraid, Daniels, I am. Every human on this planet right now feels fear. But fear doesn't have to control us. Throughout our entire history, humans have felt fear in the face of impossible odds, and every single time we found a way to turn that fear into strength." She looked up at the alien ships, her eyes steady and determined. "They think we're afraid because we're weak," she said. "But the truth is we've survived worse than this. Plagues that killed millions, wars that destroyed entire generations, disasters that wiped out cities in seconds, and every single time humanity rebuilt. Humanity adapted. Humanity became stronger." Daniels looked up at the sky as well, his fear replaced by something new, quiet determination, and perhaps even a small flicker of hope. "So what happens now?" he asked. Sarah smiled slightly. "Now, we do what humans have always done best. We adapt, we prepare, and when the time comes, we fight back." Meanwhile, deep within Project Ember's underground facility, Dr. Grant received an urgent message from General Reyes. "Dr. Grant," Reyes said through the communication screen, his voice tense. "The alien fleet has moved closer. Satellite data shows increased activity across multiple ships. We believe an attack could happen within the next few hours." Grant's expression turned serious. "Understood, General. How much time do we have before the Ember Core reaches full power?" "Our estimates say 6 more hours," a nearby engineer answered nervously. "Then we don't have a choice," Grant said firmly. "We push forward. We complete this project no matter what it takes." He turned to address his team once more, his voice filled with determination. "Everyone listen closely," Grant said. "What we are building here isn't just a machine. It's proof of everything humanity has ever achieved. Proof that no matter what threat we face, we find a way to rise above it. We have 6 hours to finish what we started. Let's make sure history remembers this moment, as the moment humanity refused to kneel." The scientists and engineers nodded, their fear transforming into focused determination as they returned to their work with renewed energy. High above, inside the alien flagship, Overseer Threx stared down at the blue planet below, his mind heavy with unfamiliar doubt. For centuries, he had led conquests across dozens of worlds, each one falling swiftly before the might of the Kryvax dominion. Fear had always been his greatest weapon. But this species, this strange, fragile, yet endlessly resilient species, refused to fear him. "Vex," Threx said quietly, still staring at Earth. "Prepare a full strike force. If words alone cannot make them surrender, then perhaps a demonstration of true power will." "Yes, Overseer," Vex replied. "Shall we target a major city?" Threx's eyes narrowed as he considered the request. "No," he said finally. "Target one of their military installations first. Let us see exactly how this species reacts when true war begins." Vex nodded and turned to relay the orders, unaware of the storm that was about to be unleashed. Not just from the alien fleet above, but from the very planet they had underestimated. Down below, humanity prepared. Not with fear, not with surrender, but with the quiet, unshakable strength of a species that had never once, in its long and painful history, truly given up. The flashback had shown the truth. Humans did not fear extinction. They feared only one thing: never trying to survive it. And as the alien fleet began its final preparations for attack, humanity stood ready, drawing strength from every battle, every disaster, every impossible moment they had ever overcome before. The first strike was coming, and humanity would meet it head-on. The sun had set over Colorado, but nobody at the military base was sleeping. Every soldier, every officer, every scientist stood ready, watching the sky where the alien fleet hung silently, like a storm waiting to break. Captain Sarah Cole stood in the command center, her eyes fixed on the radar screen. Small red dots had separated from the main alien fleet. They were moving. Fast. "Captain," an officer called out, "we have multiple bogies descending from the main fleet. Speed and trajectory suggest they're heading straight for us." Sarah's jaw tightened. "How many?" 15 ships, ma'am. Medium-sized. Not the giant motherships. These look like strike craft." Private Daniels appeared beside her, his face pale but determined. "Captain, what do we do?" Sarah turned to the room full of soldiers and officers, all waiting for her command. She took a deep breath. "We do what we've trained for," she said firmly. "All units, full alert. Defensive positions. This is not a drill." Alarms began blaring through the base. Soldiers rushed to their positions, grabbing weapons, taking cover behind reinforced walls, activating anti-air defense systems. The base, hidden deep inside a mountain, had been built for exactly this kind of moment, a moment nobody truly believed would come. High above, inside one of the descending alien ships, a Kryvax commander named Grez stood at the front of his strike squad. He was younger than Threx, eager to prove himself, and slightly overconfident. This was supposed to be an easy mission, a quick demonstration of power against a primitive military base. "Remember," Grez said to his soldiers, "Overseer Threx wants a message sent. Nothing more. Destroy their defenses. Show them true power. Do not engage unnecessarily." His second-in-command, a smaller alien named Skarn, nodded. "Understood, Commander. Scanners show minimal resistance. This should be quick." Grez smiled coldly. "Good. Let's remind these humans exactly how small they are." The alien ships descended through the clouds, their dark metal hulls glowing faintly with energy weapons preparing to fire. Back on the ground, Sarah watched the radar as the alien ships grew closer. Her hands were steady, but her heart pounded. "Daniels," she said, "get to your position. Remember your training." "Yes, Captain," Daniels replied, gripping his rifle tightly as he moved toward the base's outer defense line. Around the base, soldiers positioned anti-aircraft guns, missile launchers, and energy shields. Technology developed secretly over the past decade, designed specifically for a moment like this. Nobody knew if it would be enough, but they were ready to find out. "All units," Sarah's voice echoed through the base's communication system. "Hold your positions. Wait for my signal." The alien ships broke through the clouds, their massive shapes becoming visible against the night sky. Bright spotlights from the base illuminated their dark hulls, revealing strange symbols and glowing blue engines. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, the first alien ship opened fire, A bright beam of blue energy shot down from the lead alien ship, striking the ground near the base's outer perimeter. The explosion was massive, shaking the entire mountain. Dust and rocks flew into the air as alarms blared even louder. "They're firing!" someone shouted. "Return fire! Return fire!" The base's defense systems activated immediately. Anti-aircraft guns roared to life, sending streams of bullets and missiles toward the descending alien ships. Bright flashes lit up the night sky as explosions echoed across the mountains. Inside the lead alien ship, Commander Grez watched in surprise as human weapons actually managed to strike his ship's shields, causing them to flicker. "Commander," Skarn called out, "their weapons are stronger than expected. Shields down to 85%. Grez frowned. This was not supposed to happen. Every previous conquest had shown weaker resistance. Increase firepower. Show them our true strength. The alien ships unleashed a heavier barrage of energy weapons, striking the base's outer defenses. Several human anti-aircraft positions were destroyed instantly, explosions ripping through the night. Soldiers scrambled for cover as the ground shook violently. "Captain," an officer shouted. "We're losing outer defenses fast." Sarah gritted her teeth. "Activate Phase 2, now." Deep beneath the base, hidden systems roared to life. Massive energy shields, developed using research from Project Ember, activated around the base's most critical structures. A shimmering blue barrier appeared, deflecting incoming alien fire. Inside the alien ship, Skarn's eyes widened. "Commander, they have some kind of energy shield protecting their central structure." Grez's confidence wavered slightly. Impossible. This technology should not exist on this primitive world. But it did exist, and it was holding. On the ground, Sarah watched as the shield absorbed another wave of alien fire, the barrier glowing brighter with each impact but holding strong. "The shield is working," Daniel shouted from his position, relief evident in his voice. "Don't celebrate yet," Sarah warned. "This will only slow them down. We need to hit back." She turned to her communications officer. "Activate Ground Squad Alpha. Time to show them we don't just defend." From hidden underground tunnels around the base, dozens of specially trained soldiers emerged, carrying advanced weaponry developed in secret over the past decade. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were part of an elite unit known as the Vanguard Corps, trained specifically for a scenario like this. Leading them was Sergeant Marcus Kane, a battle-hardened veteran with years of combat experience. His team moved quickly and quietly, using the chaos of battle to position themselves strategically around the base's perimeter. "Alpha Team," Kane said through his comm. "Target their ship's weak points. Focus fire on the underside near the engine core. That's their weakness." His team had studied every piece of alien technology recovered over the years, learning as much as possible about potential vulnerabilities. It was time to put that knowledge into action. As one of the alien ships descended lower to strike the base's shield directly, Kane's team fired specialized weapons, projectiles designed using reverse-engineered technology, capable of penetrating alien shielding. The projectile struck true, hitting the ship's underside. Sparks flew as the alien vessel shuddered, smoke pouring from its engine. Inside the ship, alarms blared loudly. "Commander, we've taken critical damage. Engine core compromised." Grez's confidence shattered into shock. "That's impossible. Evasive maneuvers now." But it was too late. The damaged ship spiraled out of control, crashing into the mountainside with a massive explosion that lit up the night sky. Cheers erupted from the human soldiers as they watched the alien ship crash, but the celebration was short-lived. The remaining alien ships, enraged by the loss of their comrade, intensified their attack. "They're getting angrier," Daniels shouted, ducking as another explosion rocked nearby. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Good. Angry enemies make mistakes." The battle intensified. Energy beams clashed with human missiles, explosions lighting up the mountains like fireworks. Soldiers fought bravely, using every ounce of training and courage they had. The alien ships, despite their advanced technology, found themselves struggling against an enemy far more resourceful and adaptive than they had ever encountered. Inside the alien flagship, Commander Grez watched the battle unfold with growing frustration and disbelief. This should have been simple, he muttered. How are they resisting this effectively? Skarn, his second-in-command, studied the battle data carefully. Commander, their weapons, they're adapting. Every attack we launch, their defenses seem to counter more effectively than the last. Grez's anger flared. Order full assault, destroy that base completely. No more restraint. Back on the ground, Sarah received urgent reports from her officers. Captain, they're preparing a full assault. All remaining ships converging on our position. Sarah's mind raced. The base's shields were strong, but not infinite. If the aliens focused their entire remaining firepower on one location, even the advanced shielding might not hold. Daniels, she called out. Status on evacuation tunnels? Ready, Captain. Non-essential personnel are already moving to safety. Good. Kane, status on Alpha Team? Kane's voice crackled through the comm. Captain, we've taken heavy damage, but we're still operational. Requesting permission to engage the remaining ships directly. Sarah hesitated for only a moment. The remaining alien ships were converging, preparing a massive combined attack. If they didn't do something drastic, the base could be destroyed. Permission granted, Sarah said firmly. Kane, use everything we've got. Kane's team, hidden strategically around the mountainside, activated a specially designed weapon system, a series of high-powered energy cannons developed through years of secret research, powered by technology recovered from the very same crashed object used in Project Ember. Fire all cannons, Kane shouted. Bright beams of energy erupted from hidden positions around the mountain, striking the remaining alien ships with devastating accuracy. The alien vessels, caught off guard by this unexpected firepower, scrambled to defend themselves. Inside the alien ships, chaos erupted. Shields failing rapidly, one alien soldier shouted. We weren't prepared for weapons this advanced. Commander Grez watched in horror as two more of his ships took heavy damage, their shields collapsing under the intense assault. This was not the easy victory he had promised his superiors. Retreat, Grez finally ordered, his voice filled with disbelief and anger. Fall back to the main fleet immediately. The remaining alien ships, badly damaged and clearly outmatched in this particular battle, turned and retreated into the night sky, disappearing back toward the massive fleet still hovering above Earth. Cheers erupted across the base as soldiers realized they had successfully repelled the alien attack. Sarah allowed herself a small smile, though she knew this was only the beginning. Captain, Daniels called out, running toward her, his face covered in dust but filled with excitement. We did it. We actually pushed them back. Sarah nodded, though her expression remained serious. This was only a small strike force, Daniels. A test. They wanted to see how we'd react. And what do you think they learned? Daniels asked. Sarah looked up at the sky where the alien ships had disappeared into the darkness. They learned that we're not as weak as they thought, but they also learned something else, something that might make them angrier and more determined than before. Aboard the alien flagship, Commander Grez stood before Overseer Threx, his head lowered in shame. The damaged remains of his strike force limped back into the main fleet, several ships severely damaged, one completely destroyed. Explain yourself, Threx demanded coldly. Overseer, Grez said nervously. Their defenses were far stronger than anticipated. They possessed technology capable of penetrating our shields. Weapon systems that shouldn't exist on a primitive world like this. Threx's expression darkened further. This confirms what Vex suspected. They have already gained knowledge from an external source. Vex stepped forward, reviewing the battle data carefully. Overseer, analysis of the human weapons used shows patterns similar to technology used by several other species we have previously encountered across the galaxy. It is possible they've recovered fragments of alien technology from past incidents. Threx clenched his fists tightly, his patience wearing thin. This changes things. This is no longer a simple conquest. This is now a real war. He turned to address his assembled commanders. Prepare the full invasion fleet. No more small strike forces, no more testing their defenses. It's time to show this insignificant planet exactly what true power looks like. Back on Earth, as dawn broke over the Colorado mountains, Sarah stood outside the base watching the sunrise. Smoke still rose gently from the crash site of the destroyed alien ship. Soldiers worked quickly, securing the wreckage for study, hoping to gain more insight into alien technology. Dr. Grant arrived shortly after, accompanied by a team of scientists eager to examine the crashed alien ship. He approached Sarah, extending his hand. "Captain Cole," Grant said, "your team performed exceptionally well last night. This wreckage will provide invaluable information for Project Ember." Sarah shook his hand firmly. "Dr. Grant, I'm glad we could help. But this was only their first strike. They'll be back, and next time, it won't be a small squad." Grant nodded seriously. "I understand. That's why we can't afford to waste any time. This wreckage might hold exactly what we need to finish Project Ember ahead of schedule." "How long until it's ready?" Sarah asked. "With this new information," Grant said, glancing at the smoking wreckage, "perhaps only a few days, but we need to move quickly. The aliens won't make the same mistake twice." Meanwhile, news of the battle spread rapidly across the world. Television stations broadcast footage of the destroyed alien ship, though details remained limited due to military secrecy. Still, people around the world watched with renewed hope and determination. In Times Square, crowds gathered once more, watching news reports on giant screens. When footage of the crashed alien ship appeared, cheers erupted throughout the crowd. "They're not invincible," someone shouted. "We can fight back." The mood across the planet shifted subtly. Fear remained, but now it was mixed with something new: hope, determination, and a growing belief that humanity truly had a chance. High above, deep within the alien flagship, Overseer Threx watched Earth's growing defiance with increasing frustration and concern. He gathered his top commanders once again, his voice filled with cold determination. "This species continues to surprise us," Threx said grimly. "Every attempt to intimidate them only strengthens their resolve. It is clear now that half measures will not suffice." He turned toward Vex, his advisor. "Prepare full battle formations, all ships, all weapons. We attack their capital cities directly within 12 hours. Vex hesitated slightly. "Overseer, if we escalate to full-scale attacks on civilian population centers, their response could become unpredictable." Threx's eyes narrowed coldly. "Good. Let them respond. Let them show us exactly what they're capable of. Because after tonight, there will be no more room for hesitation. No more room for mercy." He turned back toward the massive window, staring down at the blue planet below, now illuminated by the rising sun. "This species wanted a war," Threx said quietly. "Very well. We will give them exactly that." Back on Earth, as reports of the aliens' next move reached Washington, D.C., President Anderson called an emergency meeting with world leaders through secure video communication. Faces from every major country appeared on screen, each filled with concern and determination. "We've received confirmation," General Reyes announced grimly. "The alien fleet is preparing for a full-scale assault. Multiple major cities are potential targets." "What are our options?" asked the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Dr. Singh stepped forward, addressing the international leaders. "Project Ember is nearing completion. With the data recovered from last night's battle, we believe we can finish ahead of schedule. But we need time, and more importantly, we need unity." "Then let's give them exactly that," President Anderson said firmly. "Every nation, every resource, every weapon we have, combined into a single unified defense. If they want to test humanity's strength, let's show them exactly what happens when the entire world stands together." Around the world, nations began mobilizing. Military forces combined resources, sharing technology and strategies previously kept secret. For the first time in history, humanity truly began uniting against a common threat. As night fell once again over Earth, tension filled the air. Everyone knew what was coming. The first battle had been won, but it was merely a taste of what awaited humanity. Sarah stood once more atop the Colorado base, staring up at the alien fleet, larger and more menacing than ever. Beside her stood Daniels, Kane, and dozens of soldiers, all preparing for what was to come. "Captain," Daniel said quietly, "do you think we can really win this war?" Sarah looked at him, her eyes steady and filled with quiet determination. "Daniels, humanity has faced impossible odds throughout its entire history. Every single time we found a way to survive. Tonight will be no different." She looked back up at the sky, watching as the massive alien fleet began to move, preparing for their full assault. "They wanted to see how we'd react to their power," Sarah said softly. "Now, it's time for them to see how humanity reacts to a real war." The alien fleet began its descent. The first battle was over. The real war was about to begin. High above Earth, inside the massive command chamber of the Kryvax flagship, tension filled the air. The room was built from dark metal, lit only by cold blue light. A large circular table stood in the center, surrounded by holographic screens showing data from across the fleet. Around this table stood the most powerful commanders of the Kryvax Dominion, each one summoned for an emergency council meeting. Overseer Threx stood at the head of the table, his expression hard as stone. Behind him, screens displayed footage from the failed strike mission, the destroyed ship, the retreating squad, the stubborn resistance from a species they had expected to crumble in fear. "Report," Threx said coldly, his voice echoing through the chamber. Commander Grez, still shaken from his defeat, stepped forward nervously. "Overseer, our strike force encountered unexpected resistance. Human defenses were far stronger than predicted. We lost one ship completely and 3 others sustained heavy damage." A murmur spread across the room. Several commanders exchanged uneasy glances. "This is unacceptable," growled a large, broad-shouldered commander named Croth, slamming his fist on the table. "We are the Kryvax Dominion. We have conquered 43 worlds. How can a primitive species like this cause us such difficulty?" "They are not as primitive as we assumed," Vex said calmly, stepping forward with a data screen in hand. "Our scans confirm that humans possess technology far beyond what should be possible for their level of civilization. We believe they have recovered and studied alien technology from a previous incident." The room fell silent for a moment. "Then someone has already made contact with them," said another commander, a thin, calculating alien named Zira. "This complicates matters significantly." Threx raised a hand, silencing the growing chatter. "Regardless of how they obtained this technology, the fact remains, they resisted us. And worse, they have shown no fear." He turned toward the main screen displaying footage of humans celebrating in the streets, laughing, chanting, standing defiantly against the alien fleet above them. "Look at this," Threx said, his voice filled with disbelief. "Every species we have ever encountered reacted to our presence with immediate terror. Surrender within hours. But these humans, they mock us. They celebrate their small victories as if they stand a true chance against us." Croth scoffed loudly. "It is meaningless bravado, Overseer. A few destroyed ships mean nothing against our full fleet. Let us end this quickly. Full invasion. Immediate and total destruction of their major cities." "Patience, Croth," Vex interjected carefully. "We must understand our enemy before we act rashly. Acting without proper analysis could lead to unnecessary losses." "Losses?" Croth laughed mockingly. "We are speaking of primitive humans, not a rival empire." "And yet," Vex replied sharply, "one of our ships was destroyed, and 3 others damaged by this primitive species. I would advise caution before underestimating them further." The room grew tense as the commanders debated fiercely among themselves. Threx remained silent, watching carefully, his mind processing every argument. Finally, Threx raised his hand once more, silencing the room completely. "Enough," he said firmly. "We will not repeat the mistake of hesitation, nor will we make the mistake of reckless overconfidence. Vex, tell them what you told me earlier." Vex nodded, stepping forward to address the entire council. "Our historical records indicate a troubling pattern in human behavior. Throughout their history, This species has faced numerous extinction-level threats: wars, diseases, disasters. Yet each time, instead of collapsing, their civilization adapts and grows stronger. This is why our scans show accelerated technological development in human history during periods of extreme conflict, Vex continued. Their two largest wars alone led to advancements in weaponry, medicine, and technology that would normally take over a century to achieve, completed within only a few years. A tense silence fell over the room as the commanders absorbed this information. "You are suggesting," said Zyra slowly, "that by attacking them, we may inadvertently accelerate their evolution as a species?" "It is a strong possibility," Vex confirmed. "The more pressure we apply, the faster they may adapt and develop counter-strategies against us." Croth shook his head dismissively. "This is absurd. No species evolves fast enough to counter an empire as advanced as ours." "Perhaps," Threx said quietly, "but no species we have previously encountered has shown this level of resilience either." The council chamber grew tense with uncertainty. For the first time in centuries, doubt crept into the minds of the Kryvax commanders. Their empire had never faced such unpredictable resistance. A younger commander named Priest Nyla, who had remained silent throughout most of the discussion, finally spoke. "Overseer, if I may offer a different perspective." Threx nodded. "Speak." "Our previous conquests succeeded because we overwhelmed our enemies both physically and psychologically," Nyla explained. "Fear was always our greatest weapon, but this species appears to respond differently to fear. Instead of submission, they respond with unity and determination." "What are you suggesting?" Threx asked. "Perhaps," Nyla continued carefully, "our approach needs to change. Instead of attempting to break their spirit through intimidation, we should consider a more calculated, strategic assault. Target their infrastructure, disrupt their unity, and weaken their ability to organize a coordinated defense." Croth laughed loudly. "You suggest complicated strategies against insects? Overseer, this is ridiculous. We are wasting time discussing tactics against a species with primitive weapons and technology." "Careful, Croth," Threx warned coldly. "Those insects destroyed one of our ships and damaged 3 others within hours of first contact. Do not let arrogance blind you to the reality of the situation." Croth fell silent, clearly displeased but unwilling to challenge Threx directly. Meanwhile, back on Earth, deep inside Project Ember's underground facility, Dr. Grant and his team worked tirelessly, examining the wreckage recovered from the destroyed alien ship. Sparks flew as engineers carefully studied alien technology, extracting valuable data that could help complete their own defense project ahead of schedule. "Dr. Grant," Mia Chen called out excitedly, "we found something incredible in the ship's core systems." Grant rushed over, examining the strange device Mia had extracted. It pulsed faintly with blue energy, similar to their own Ember core. "This is a power regulator," Grant said, studying it closely. "If we can integrate this technology into our own system, it could significantly boost the Ember core's capabilities." "How long would that take?" asked General Reyes, who had arrived to oversee the recovery efforts personally. "With this new data," Grant said, excitement evident in his voice, "perhaps only 12 hours, maybe less." Reyes nodded firmly. "Then let's not waste another second. The aliens won't wait for us to finish." High above, tensions within the Kryvax Council continued to rise. Threx paced slowly around the room, considering every argument presented before him. Finally, he stopped and addressed the entire council firmly. "We will proceed with full invasion preparations," Threx announced. "But we will not repeat our previous mistake of underestimating this species. Priest Nyla's strategy will be implemented alongside our overwhelming force." Nyla nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Overseer." "Croth," Threx continued, "you will lead the main assault fleet. Target key military installations and infrastructure across multiple continents simultaneously. Disrupt their ability to organize a unified defense." Croth smiled coldly, pleased with his assignment. "As you command, Overseer." "Vex," Threx continued, "monitor their technological advancements closely. If they demonstrate any further unexpected capabilities, I want to know immediately. Understood, Overseer, Vex replied. Threx turned back toward the massive window overlooking Earth, his expression thoughtful and calculating. This species believes their unity and resilience make them strong. We will test that belief directly. Let us see how united they truly remain once their cities begin to fall. Back on Earth, as preparations for the alien assault continued, world leaders gathered once again through secure video communication, discussing strategies to counter the impending attack. Cities across the globe began emergency preparations, evacuating civilians to safer locations, mobilizing military forces and reinforcing defenses. In New York City, Mayor Diane Foster addressed anxious citizens gathered in emergency shelters. "We understand you're scared," she said calmly, "but remember what happened last night. Humanity fought back, and we won a battle against overwhelming odds. We can do it again." Similar messages of hope and determination spread across cities worldwide as citizens prepared themselves for what was to come. Fear remained, but so did a growing sense of unity and resilience. Meanwhile, deep inside the Colorado base, Sarah Cole reviewed intelligence reports with growing concern. Satellite images showed clear signs of alien ships repositioning, preparing coordinated strikes across multiple locations worldwide. "Captain," Daniel said, entering the command room, "reports indicate the aliens are preparing simultaneous attacks on military bases across North America, Europe, and Asia." Sarah studied the map carefully, her mind racing through possible strategies. "They're trying to disrupt our unity," she muttered. "Divide our forces, weaken our coordination." "Can we stop them?" Daniels asked nervously. Sarah looked up, determination clear in her eyes. "We have to. Get me General Reyes on the line immediately." Within moments, Sarah was speaking directly with General Reyes, who was overseeing Project Ember's final preparations. "General," Sarah said urgently, "intelligence suggests the aliens plan simultaneous strikes worldwide, targeting military infrastructure to disrupt our coordination." Reyes nodded gravely. "We've received similar reports. Dr. Grant believes the Ember Corps will be ready within 12 hours, but if the aliens strike before then..." "We need to buy time," Sarah interrupted. "If we can coordinate our defenses effectively, share resources and strategies internationally, we might be able to hold out long enough." Reyes considered this carefully. "I'll arrange an emergency international military summit immediately. If there was ever a time for humanity to stand united, it's now." High above, aboard the Kryvax flagship, Overseer Threx watched carefully as his fleet prepared for the coordinated assault. Despite his outward confidence, doubt still lingered in his mind. He turned to Vex, who stood quietly beside him. "Vex," Threx said quietly, "do you believe we're making the right decision?" Vex hesitated before answering honestly. "Overseer, our historical analysis suggests humanity thrives under pressure, yet we have no alternative but to proceed. Retreat now would be seen as weakness, both by humanity and by the Dominion's High Council." Threx nodded slowly, understanding the difficult position they were in. "Then we must ensure this assault succeeds swiftly and decisively. No hesitation, no mercy." "And if their resistance continues to intensify?" Vex asked carefully. Threx's eyes hardened. "Then we escalate further until their spirit finally breaks." Back on Earth, an emergency international military summit convened via secure communication, bringing together military leaders and government officials from every major nation. Screens displayed anxious faces from countries around the world, all united by the shared threat above them. "We stand at a critical moment in human history," President Anderson began, addressing the international summit. "The alien fleet prepares a coordinated assault against military installations worldwide. If we hope to survive this attack, we must act together, sharing resources, strategies, and technology without hesitation." Leaders from various countries nodded in agreement, setting aside political differences in the face of a common existential threat. For the first time, true global cooperation began to take shape, resources pooling together rapidly as nations combined their strengths. "Our scientists believe we have approximately 12 hours before completing a critical defense project," Dr. Singh explained to the assembled leaders. If we can hold out until then, humanity may finally have a real chance to turn the tide of this war. Then let's make sure we hold out, said the Prime Minister of Japan firmly. Humanity has never faced a challenge quite like this, but we have also never stood united quite like this either. As preparations intensified worldwide, tension grew thick in the air. Soldiers reinforced defenses, scientists rushed to complete critical technology, and citizens prepared themselves mentally and physically for what was to come. Back in Colorado, Sarah addressed her soldiers one final time before the impending assault. "Listen closely," she said, her voice steady and clear. "The aliens believe they can break our spirit by attacking multiple locations simultaneously. They think dividing our forces will weaken our resolve. But we know better. We know humanity's greatest strength has never been about individual battles. It's about our ability to unite, adapt, and overcome, no matter how impossible the odds may seem." She looked around at her soldiers, their faces filled with determination despite their fear. Tonight they'll learn exactly what that means. High above, Overseer Threx gave the final order. The massive Kryvax fleet began moving into position, preparing simultaneous strikes across multiple continents. Commander Croth, eager to prove his strength, led the main assault force confidently toward Earth's atmosphere. "Prepare all ships," Croth commanded coldly. "It's time to remind humanity exactly how insignificant they truly are." The alien fleet descended rapidly, ready to unleash devastating force upon Earth's defenses. But down below, humanity stood ready, united and resolute, prepared to face the greatest challenge in their history. The Council's panic had led to a decision. Full-scale invasion, no more hesitation, no more caution. But as the alien ships descended toward Earth, neither Threx nor his commanders truly understood the depth of humanity's resilience, nor the surprises that awaited them below. The real war was about to begin, and humanity stood ready to prove exactly why they were a species unlike any other the Kryvax Dominion had ever encountered. The sky split open with fire. Across North America, Europe, and Asia, thousands of Kryvax ships dropped from the massive motherships at the exact same moment. It was not a single attack anymore. It was war, everywhere, all at once. In Colorado, Sarah Cole stood in the command center, watching dozens of red dots swarm across the radar screen. Her heart pounded, but her voice stayed calm. "All units, this is it," she said into the comm. "Hold the line. Remember your training." Outside, the mountain base's defense shields glowed bright blue as the first wave of alien ships opened fire. Explosions lit up the night sky. The ground shook violently. Soldiers dove behind cover as debris rained down around them. "Captain!" Daniel shouted over the noise. "Multiple ships incoming. This wave is bigger than last time." "I know," Sarah said, gritting her teeth. "Kane, status on Alpha Team?" "In position, Captain," Kane's voice crackled back. "Ready to engage on your signal." Sarah watched the screen carefully, waiting for the right moment. The alien ships descended lower, confident, arrogant, expecting an easy victory. "Fire," Sarah ordered. The mountainside erupted with light as hidden cannons unleashed their full power. Alien ships scrambled to defend themselves, but this time, humanity was ready. Every weakness discovered from the previous battle had been studied, analyzed, and exploited. One alien ship took a direct hit to its engine core and spiraled into the mountainside, exploding in a fireball. Another lost its shields entirely, retreating in a panic. But there were simply too many ships. For every one destroyed, 3 more took its place. Inside one of the descending Kryvax ships, Commander Croth watched the battle unfold with growing fury. "They're fighting back harder than before," one of his soldiers shouted. "Then hit them harder!" Croth roared. "Full firepower! Level that mountain if you must!" The alien ships unleashed a massive combined barrage, striking the base's shield directly. The barrier flickered, straining under the intense assault. Alarms blared throughout the base. "Shield integrity dropping," an officer shouted. 60%, 50%. Sarah's mind raced. If the shield failed, the base would be exposed completely. "Everyone, brace for impact," she shouted. Meanwhile, across the ocean, Similar battles raged in Europe and Asia. In Germany, military bases fought desperately against wave after wave of alien attacks. In Japan, coastal defenses held their ground, using experimental energy weapons developed through international cooperation over the past 12 hours. In India, soldiers fought alongside scientists, defending research facilities crucial to humanity's survival. Everywhere, the same story repeated. Humanity, though outmatched in raw power, fought with unmatched determination, adaptability, and unity. Every battle taught new lessons. Every lesson was shared instantly across the world through secure communication networks, allowing humanity to adapt faster than the aliens could react. Back in Washington, D.C., President Anderson watched reports flooding in from every corner of the globe. Casualties were rising, cities were burning, but humanity was still standing. "Mr. President," Dr. Singh said urgently, "Project Ember reports the Ember Core is nearly complete. They need only a few more hours." "Can our forces hold that long?" Anderson asked, his voice heavy with worry. Singh hesitated. "It will not be easy, sir, but humanity has never been about easy." Back in Colorado, the base's shield finally shattered under the relentless alien assault. Explosions rocked the mountain as debris rained down on the defenders below. "Shields down!" an officer shouted. "We're exposed!" Sarah's heart sank, but she refused to give in to panic. "All units fall back to secondary defense positions. Kane, target their command ship directly." Kane's team, though battered and exhausted, regrouped quickly, focusing their remaining firepower on the largest alien vessel leading the assault, Commander Croth's own ship. Inside the ship, Croth felt the vessel shudder violently as human weapons struck true. "Commander, our shields are failing," Skarn shouted from behind him. Croth's confidence cracked slightly, but his anger only intensified. "Impossible. Increase power to our main cannon. End this now." The massive alien ship began charging a devastating weapon aimed directly at the heart of the Colorado base. Sarah watched in horror as the alien ship's weapon glowed brighter, preparing to unleash a devastating blast capable of destroying the entire base. "Everyone, evacuate immediately!" Sarah shouted desperately. "Fall back now!" Soldiers scrambled to escape, but time was running out. The alien weapon reached full power, ready to fire. Suddenly, a bright flash of blue light erupted from deep within the mountain itself. A powerful energy beam shot upward, striking the alien ship's weapon just as it prepared to fire. The alien vessel's cannon exploded violently, causing the entire ship to shake uncontrollably. Confusion swept through the battlefield. Sarah looked around, stunned. What was that? From behind her, Dr. Grant emerged from a hidden underground entrance, his face covered in sweat but filled with excitement. "That, Captain," Grant said proudly, "was the Ember Core. We just brought it online early." Above, the damaged alien flagship reeled from the unexpected counterattack. Commander Croth stared in disbelief at his ship's systems, sparks flying around him. "Impossible!" Croth shouted. "Where did that weapon come from?" "Commander," Skarn said urgently, "readings indicate a massive energy surge from beneath the human base. Their technology, it's far more advanced than we anticipated." Croth gritted his teeth in fury. "Order full retreat. We need reinforcements immediately." The damaged alien ship, along with several others severely weakened by humanity's newly activated defense system, retreated hastily into the night sky, regrouping with the main fleet above. Back on the ground, cheers erupted from soldiers who had witnessed their unexpected victory. Sarah turned to Dr. Grant, astonished. "You said we needed hours to complete the Ember Core," she said. Grant smiled, exhausted but triumphant. "We did. But your team's earlier victory gave us critical technology and time we desperately needed. Necessity truly is the mother of invention, Captain." Sarah looked around at the battlefield, filled with wreckage and destruction, yet also filled with soldiers standing tall, refusing to be broken. "This isn't over," she said quietly. "They'll regroup. They'll come back stronger." "I know," Grant replied. "But now at least we have a fighting chance." High above, aboard the Kryvax flagship, Overseer Threx received the reports of failed assaults from across the globe. Ships destroyed in Colorado, heavy losses in Germany, coastal defenses holding strong in Japan. Everywhere, humanity had resisted far more effectively than anticipated. Threx's expression darkened as Commander Croth entered the council chamber, humiliated and furious. "Explain this failure?" Threx demanded coldly. "Overseer," Croth said through gritted teeth, "they possess a weapon system unlike anything we anticipated. A massive energy discharge capable of severely damaging our ships from beneath the surface itself." Vex stepped forward, studying data carefully. "Overseer, our analysis suggests humanity has developed advanced weaponry using recovered alien technology, likely combined with human ingenuity and innovation." Threx's frustration boiled beneath his calm exterior. "Then this species continues to surprise us at every turn." "Overseer," Priest Nyla said calmly, stepping forward, "perhaps it is time we reconsider our approach entirely." Threx turned sharply. "Explain." "This species does not respond to intimidation or brute force alone," Nyla explained carefully. "Every attack we launch only strengthens their unity and accelerates their technological advancement. Perhaps we should consider isolating their most valuable resources instead, cutting off their ability to coordinate globally." Croth scoffed loudly. "Cowardice disguised as strategy. We should crush them completely, immediately, with our full might." "And risk further losses," Vex interjected sharply. "Overseer, our fleet has already suffered significant damage. If we continue reckless assaults without proper strategy, we risk losing our advantage entirely." The council chamber erupted into heated debate once more, commanders arguing fiercely over the best course of action. Threx remained silent, watching carefully, weighing every option available. Finally, he raised his hand, silencing the room. "We will proceed with a combined approach," Threx announced firmly. "Continue targeted strikes against their military and defense infrastructure, but simultaneously target their global communication networks. If we can disrupt their ability to coordinate internationally, their unity will crumble. Back on Earth as dawn broke once again, humanity assessed the aftermath of the invasion. Casualties were heavy, cities damaged, but morale remained surprisingly strong. News broadcasts showed images of destroyed alien ships, alongside images of human resilience, soldiers helping civilians, communities rebuilding quickly, international cooperation stronger than ever before. In Washington, D.C., President Anderson addressed the nation and the world once more, his voice filled with determination. "Humanity has faced its greatest challenge yet," Anderson said solemnly. "We have suffered losses, but we have also achieved victories few believed possible. Tonight, we proved that unity, resilience, and innovation remain humanity's greatest strengths. This war is far from over, but we will not back down. We will not surrender." Applause and cheers erupted across the globe as people watched the broadcast, drawing strength and hope from their leader's words. Back in Colorado, Sarah stood outside the base, staring up at the sky, now calm and clear after the intense battle. Dr. Grant approached her, his expression thoughtful. "Captain," Grant said, "the Ember Corps has provided us with valuable information about alien technology and strategy. We believe we can develop countermeasures against their next assault." "How long do we have?" Sarah asked. Grant considered carefully. "Based on their pattern of escalation, I'd estimate less than 24 hours before their next major offensive." Sarah nodded, determination clear in her eyes. "Then let's make sure we're ready. This war isn't over yet. If anything, this was only the beginning." High above, Overseer Threx stared down at Earth, his mind heavy with unfamiliar uncertainty. Never before had a conquest proven this difficult, this unpredictable. He turned to Vex, his voice quiet but resolute. "Vex, prepare our forces for the next phase of attack. This time we strike directly at their unity, their coordination, their very ability to organize as a species." "Understood, Overseer," Vex replied. Threx looked down at the planet below, his expression hardening with renewed determination. Humanity believes their unity makes them strong. Let us see exactly how strong they remain. Once we tear that unity apart. The Kryvax fleet began regrouping, preparing for their next devastating assault. But down below, humanity stood ready, more united and determined than ever before, prepared to face whatever challenges awaited them next. The invasion had begun, but humanity's resolve had only grown stronger, and as both sides prepared for the battles yet to come, one truth became increasingly clear. This would not be a quick or easy war for the Kryvax Dominion. Humanity was not simply resisting. Humanity was rising. 24 hours had passed since the failed alien invasion. Across the world, humanity did not rest. Every hour was used to prepare, to build, to plan. This was no longer about simple survival. This was about victory. In Colorado, deep inside Project Ember's underground facility, Dr. Grant stood before a massive gathering of scientists, engineers, and military leaders from every corner of the globe. Screens behind him displayed the completed Ember core, now glowing brighter than ever before, connected to defense systems across multiple countries. "Everyone," Grant said, his voice carrying through the room. "What we built here started as a single project in one country. Now it belongs to the entire world. Every nation has contributed knowledge, resources, and courage to reach this moment." General Reyes stepped forward, addressing the room. "Our scans confirm the alien fleet has begun repositioning. They plan to strike our communication networks and coordination centers directly, hoping to divide us before their next assault." "Then we don't let them," said Sarah Cole, standing among the gathered leaders. "We already know their strategy. Now it's time to use it against them." High above Earth, aboard the Kryvax flagship, Overseer Threx studied battle plans carefully with his commanders. The mood in the council chamber had shifted. Confidence had been replaced by caution, though determination remained strong. "Overseer," Vex reported, "our scans show significant human military activity across multiple regions. They appear to be reinforcing their communication networks rather than their military bases directly." Threx frowned. "They anticipate our strategy." "It appears so," Vex confirmed. Croth, still bitter from his earlier defeat, stepped forward. "Then we adapt as well, Overseer. Strike swiftly before they finish their preparations." Threx considered this carefully. Every previous assumption about humanity had proven wrong. Every calculated strategy had been met with unexpected resistance. Yet retreating now was not an option. Not for the Kryvax Dominion, not after suffering such humiliating losses. "Prepare the fleet," Threx finally ordered. "We strike within the hour. No more hesitation, no more mistakes." Back on Earth, Sarah stood before her soldiers one final time, her voice steady and calm despite the tension in the air. "This is it," she said. "Everything we've learned, everything we've built together as a species, comes down to this moment. They think our unity is our weakness, something they can break apart. But they're wrong. Our unity is our greatest strength, and today, we prove it." Soldiers nodded, determination clear in their eyes. Around the world, similar speeches were given, similar preparations made. Humanity stood ready, united as never before in its long, difficult history. The alien fleet descended once more, this time faster, more coordinated, more determined. But humanity was ready. As alien ships targeted communication towers and coordination centers, hidden defense systems activated instantly, protected by newly developed shielding technology derived from the Ember core. In Colorado, Kane's team, reinforced with new weaponry, targeted incoming alien ships with precise coordinated strikes. In Germany, soldiers used newly shared technology to intercept alien attacks on communication networks. In Japan, defense forces successfully repelled another wave of alien ships, protecting critical coordination centers. Everywhere, humanity's unified defense held strong, frustrating the Kryvax's carefully planned strategy. Aboard the flagship, Threx watched with mounting frustration as reports of failed strikes flooded in from every region. "Overseer," Vex said urgently, "our attacks are failing across every front. Their coordination remains intact." Threx's anger flared, but beneath it, Doubt grew stronger. How is this possible? How can a species this primitive continually adapt faster than our own forces? Vex hesitated before answering honestly. Perhaps, Overseer, it is because they are fighting not just for survival, but for something greater. Unity. Purpose. Something our own forces may lack. Back on Earth, as the alien assault faltered, Dr. Grant received urgent data from the battlefield. His eyes widened with excitement as he studied the alien fleet's patterns closely. Captain Cole, Grant said urgently, contacting Sarah directly. We've identified a critical weakness in their fleet's formation. Their command ship, the one leading their tactical strikes, has minimal defenses protecting its rear systems. Sarah's eyes narrowed with determination. Can we exploit this weakness? Yes, Grant said, but it requires precise coordination and perfect timing. If we strike now, while their fleet is distracted by failed assaults, we might be able to cripple their entire command structure. Sarah didn't hesitate. Then let's do exactly that. Quickly, Sarah coordinated with military leaders worldwide, sharing Grant's critical intelligence instantly through secure networks. Within minutes, coordinated strike teams from multiple nations prepared for a bold counterattack, targeting the alien fleet's command structure directly. High above, unaware of humanity's coordinated plan, Threx continued issuing orders, frustrated by the continuous failures across his fleet. Concentrate all remaining forces on their primary defense structures, Threx commanded. We must break through somewhere, immediately. As alien ships regrouped, concentrating their firepower on specific human defense points, humanity's coordinated strike teams moved swiftly into position, exploiting the exact weakness Grant had identified. All units, Sarah's voice echoed clearly across international communication channels. Target their command ship's rear systems. This is our chance to turn the tide completely. Coordinated human forces, combining advanced weaponry from multiple nations, launched a precise, devastating strike directly at the alien flagship's vulnerable rear systems. Explosions rocked the massive vessel violently, catching the Kryvax completely off guard. Inside the flagship, alarms blared loudly as critical systems failed rapidly. Overseer, Skarn shouted in panic. Our main systems are failing. We've sustained critical damage to our primary command structure. Threx's confidence shattered instantly, replaced by genuine shock and disbelief. Impossible. How did they identify our weakness so precisely? Vex, studying the battle data urgently, realized the truth. Overseer, they've been studying our tactics all along, adapting continuously with each battle. This attack was calculated perfectly. Threx clenched his fist tightly, anger and disbelief mixing dangerously within him. Order immediate retreat of all forces. We cannot risk losing our flagship entirely. Back on Earth, cheers erupted worldwide as reports confirmed severe damage to the alien flagship. Humanity's coordinated counterattack had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations, striking a critical blow directly at the heart of the Kryvax invasion force. In Colorado, Sarah watched as alien ships began retreating rapidly, regrouping cautiously at a safer distance from Earth's surface. Captain, Daniel said excitedly, we actually did it. We hit their command ship directly. Sarah allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. This isn't over yet, Daniels. But today, humanity proved something crucial. We're not just capable of defending ourselves. We're capable of striking back. Aboard the damaged Kryvax flagship, Overseer Threx gathered his remaining commanders for an emergency council meeting. The mood was tense, uncertain, filled with doubt and frustration. This war has become far costlier than anticipated, Threx admitted grimly. Humanity continues adapting faster than we can counter. Our losses mount with each passing engagement. Croth, humiliated by repeated defeats, remained uncharacteristically silent, his previous confidence shattered by recent events. Priest Nyla finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. Overseer, perhaps it's time we reconsider our position entirely. Humanity has proven far more resilient and capable than any species we've previously encountered. Continuing this conflict may cost us far more than the value of conquering this single planet. Threx considered this carefully. weighing the heavy losses his fleet had already suffered. Yet retreating now, admitting defeat against a species initially deemed primitive, would severely damage the Kryvax Dominion's reputation across the galaxy. "We cannot simply retreat," Threx said finally. "But we must reconsider our approach. Perhaps direct conquest is no longer viable. Perhaps negotiation, or at the very least, a strategic withdrawal, is our only remaining option." Back on Earth, as news of the alien fleet's retreat spread worldwide, humanity celebrated cautiously, aware the war was far from truly over. Yet for the first time since the invasion began, hope truly flourished. President Anderson addressed the nation and the world once more, his voice filled with pride and determination. "Today humanity achieved something remarkable," Anderson declared. "We proved that unity, courage, and innovation can overcome even the most powerful adversaries. But we must remain vigilant, for this war is not yet finished." Sarah, watching the broadcast from Colorado, turned to Dr. Grant, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think they'll return, Doctor?" Grant considered carefully before responding. "Species like the Kryvax rarely retreat willingly, but if they do return, we'll be ready. Humanity has proven exactly what we're capable of." Days passed, and the retreating alien fleet regrouped cautiously at a safe distance from Earth, monitoring the planet closely, uncertain of their next move. Meanwhile, humanity used this valuable time wisely, strengthening defenses, sharing technology internationally, and preparing thoroughly for any future conflict. Sarah, now promoted to major, oversaw the rapid development of new defense strategies alongside Dr. Grant and an international team of scientists and military leaders. The world had changed dramatically, nations working together closely, united by a common purpose unlike ever before in human history. "Major Cole," Grant said one evening, reviewing data carefully, "our scans indicate the alien fleet remains stationed cautiously outside Earth's atmosphere. They seem hesitant to engage further." Sarah studied the data thoughtfully. "They're afraid," she said finally. "For the first time, we've made them afraid." Meanwhile, aboard the Kryvax flagship, Overseer Threx continued monitoring Earth closely, uncertain about their next course of action. The Dominion's High Council had begun demanding updates, questioning the prolonged conflict against a supposedly primitive species. "Overseer," Vex reported one day, "the High Council demands immediate resolution. They grow impatient with our continued losses." Threx sighed deeply, the weight of command heavy upon him. "Then perhaps it's time we consider a different approach entirely. Prepare a diplomatic envoy. Perhaps negotiation, rather than continued conflict, is our wisest path forward." Vex nodded, though uncertainty remained evident. "And if negotiations fail, Overseer?" Threx's gaze hardened, staring intently at the blue planet below. "Then humanity will discover exactly what it means to face the full, undivided wrath of the Kryvax Dominion." Back on Earth, as tensions remained high, humanity continued preparing diligently, aware negotiations might fail. Sarah, now leading international defense coordination efforts, remained cautiously optimistic, yet fully prepared for renewed conflict. "Dr. Grant," Sarah said one afternoon, studying reports carefully, "do you believe negotiations will succeed?" Grant considered thoughtfully. "Humanity has proven itself capable of remarkable resilience and adaptability. Whether through negotiation or continued conflict, I believe we're finally prepared for whatever comes next." Sarah nodded, gazing out at the horizon, where the alien fleet remained cautiously stationed. "Then let's make sure we're ready for anything," she said quietly. As the world awaited the outcome of humanity's greatest challenge yet, one truth remained clear. Humanity, once underestimated and threatened with total conquest, had risen against impossible odds, proving resilience, unity, and courage could overcome even the most powerful adversaries. Weeks later, an urgent transmission arrived from the alien fleet, requesting formal negotiations directly with world leaders. Sarah, alongside President Anderson and Dr. Grant, prepared cautiously for humanity's historic first direct diplomatic meeting with the Kryvax Dominion. As they entered the secure meeting room, screens displayed Overseer Threx himself, appearing calm, yet visibly cautious. "Humanity," Threx began solemnly, "your resilience has proven unprecedented. The Kryvax Dominion acknowledges your strength and unity." President Anderson stepped forward confidently. "Humanity does not seek conflict, Overseer Threx, but we will never surrender our freedom, nor our right to determine our own future." Threx nodded slowly, considering carefully. "Then let us discuss terms of peace rather than continued conflict." Sarah watched closely, cautious optimism growing within her. Perhaps finally, humanity's long, difficult struggle was nearing a peaceful resolution. As negotiations began cautiously, humanity stood united, proud, and resilient, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. The war had tested humanity's strength, unity, and courage beyond anything previously imagined. Yet through every battle, every hardship, humanity had emerged stronger, more united, and more determined than ever before. Sarah looked around the room, at the faces of world leaders working together, at Dr. Grant's proud smile, and finally, out toward the horizon where the alien fleet remained cautiously stationed. Humanity had faced an impossible threat, mocked at first by fear itself, yet had risen through unity, resilience, and unwavering courage. The demanded surrender had become humanity's greatest triumph. And as negotiations continued, one final truth echoed clearly across the world. Humanity did not simply survive. Humanity had proven, once and for all, exactly why they should never be underestimated again. The war might have started with fear, but it ended with humanity's laughter still echoing proudly across the stars. The end.